Arc Raiders was a game that jumped out to great success. It was finally an extraction shooter that managed to get the more casual gamers interested because of its PvP versus PvE like matchmaking system, where if you played more PvP, you got matched with people who played that. You played more PvE, you got matched with people who played that. It was like a perfect introduction to the genre. However, the game has been out for 3.5 months now, and the numbers aren't as good. Players aren't coming back as much. I know myself, I haven't played the game in like a month, and I think that there are a lot of reasons why people might give up. Maybe people didn't like the matchmaking. Maybe they just don't feel like there's much to do when you get to the end game and you have all the insane gear you could ever want. But Paul Tassi from Forbes, you know him, you love him, one of the people who's been really, really on top of every extraction shooter story, from Arc Raiders to Marathon, of course. You might know him from his Destiny 1 and 2 coverage. He has a new article about why Arc Raiders is down 80%. So let's head over to Forbes and why Arc Raiders player count is down 80% in 3.5 months by Paul Tassi. Well, yes, there is admittedly some level of annoyance with the recent trend of spamming Steam chart numbers every few hours for various games. At times, that data, often the only trackable metric of a game, is alarmingly sound, and that's what's currently happening with Arc Raiders on Steam. Arc Raiders experienced an absolutely tremendous, very fast drop in players on Steam, down from a peak concurrent player count of 466,000 in January to 90,000 today. It's not just that it's a big drop, it's that it's a big drop extremely quickly. The game is down 80% in just 3.5 months since 2026 started. This is, of course, not a single-player game where that kind of fall-off is expected, but it's a departure from the storyline before this, when Arc Raiders had a very, very solid hold on its player base, staying almost even or at times increasing from its launch in October to that of 2026 turnover. But something happened, and it's just not pulling out this current slide, which keeps dropping every week. Nearly 90 to 100,000 concurrents isn't bad, certainly, and Arc Raiders is going to be considered a hit to some degree, given the expectations are far below this, but this kind of drop this quickly is worth studying. It includes the player count, 24-hour peak of 90,138. What's going on? It's not as if there is one big change that led to everyone to flee at once, but a conflagration of factors. New content isn't catching. Even Embark has previously acknowledged that there isn't enough to do in Arc Raiders after a certain point, which is why they've tried to add new enemies and quests over time. But none of them have reversed those declines. The game's Shrouded Sky update, its largest since mid-December, barely moved the needle, and if anything, declines have only accelerated since then. Fatigue. Extraction shooters are unique in the sense that they have seasonal resets that wipe out a fair amount of progress, including many upgrades and your cache of gear. It's kind of necessary for the loop of the genre to work, but it can be a tiring cycle. PvE focus. Arc Raiders found success drawing casual players in by leaning more heavily on PvE content and making PvP less brutal than in other entries in the genre. That has increased in time, leading to some PvP players to leave. But if you're catering to a more casual casual players are also more likely to leave in time, which is what we're seeing here in part. Cheating. Self-explanatory. Cheating is even more brutal in an extraction shooter when dying to a hacker isn't just losing a round, it's losing all of your gear, and there's plenty of cheating in Arc Raiders. Streaming anti-advertising. While streamers can help elevate a game by showing it to tens or hundreds of thousands of fans, the opposite can be true. Every week, it feels like a new high-profile streamer announces they're pulling back from the game. Recently, it was Ninja who called the game unplayable due to cheaters and stream snipers. Most notably, the Burnt Peanut, arguably the biggest Arc Raiders creator, has been playing less Arc, even as he acknowledged it costs him a significant number of viewers. Most of these situations are a combination of dealing with cheaters and community targeting, simply running out of stuff to do, or being fatigued by seasonal reset. Another larger update coming in April, the Riven Tides update, which will add a big arc and a new map for once, but it's unclear if that's enough to level out or reverse this decline. Losing this many players this quickly indicates major issues that need major overhauls, and Embark has to be brainstorming on that front as we speak. So, obviously, a lot to break down there, but I think what's most important is the fact that many people are getting to the end game and just not seeing a reason to stick around. I do think that streamers moving on isn't great, but I don't think the average player is running into as many cheaters, certainly no stream snipers, the same way that big streamers are. So I think that's a smaller problem. I think it's more people have played the hell out of it, and there's really nothing left for them to do. And for live service, that's not great. The whole point of these types of games is people play in perpetuity, but at the same token, there's not tons of gamers who want to only play one game all the time. And I think in that way, we really kind of see like a schism between what people want from the studio side of things and what gamers want. There are people who love playing one game, who love updates, who just want to play a game like Fortnite forever. But the average gamer wants to play a game and then be like, all right, I'm done with this. Let me move on to the next thing. And in a world where games are trying to only be live service games, that's going to happen. People are going to come in, and even if they like it a lot, they're going to have their fill and go play something else. So what are your thoughts on Arc Raiders losing 80% of its players in 3.5 months? Do you think that it can get people back with new updates, or do you think they need to reconfigure how the end game works altogether in order to make it so that people feel like there's a reason to stick around in the first place? Because once they play the update, they're just going to leave again. Anyways, let me know your thoughts about all of this in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. New videos coming out all the time here on the channel. Check out the main channel, which is, of course, where you get everything where I cover video games in the form of video essays and video game reviews. Check out our sports channel, Wicked Sports, where we cover sports news, our podcasting channel, Better Radio, and our newest channel, History is Wicked, where we cover cryptids, urban legends, and weird history stories. Again, thank you so much for your time. Please subscribe if you haven't already. We're trying to get to 100 subscribers. We're very close, but we still need your help. Anyways, thanks again, and I will see you in the next one.